Okay, I'm reading In Buddhist Company, Thai Soldiers in the Vietnam War. And it's another dissertation that's become a book. There's a number of those. The book on Buddhadasa was one. And generally, I find, a lot of these lacking quite a bit, with the exception of Kamala Tianevich, his book on Forest Buddhism, and which living there and going those places and everything else, it was quite difficult to find oddities. But anyhow, he talks about they're getting ready to form this, and a bit of the history of, or a bit about the people, that why they volunteered, and some of them their families wanted them to. Some of them, they wanted to impress a girl. Some of them, they wanted to get away from a girl. So that was sort of, some of that was quite interesting. The really interesting part so far, and I'm not deep into the book yet, is Thailand calls itself a 95% Buddhist country. And I mean, you can call yourself, a dandelion if you want to, but it doesn't make you a dandelion. Or you can call yourself something, but you don't really follow the tenets of that. And in this case, Buddhism. All sorts of monks wanted to join up. And at first, the Sangha Council said, well, we're not going to, first of all, no monk can become a soldier. You have to formally leave the monkhood before you, disrobe before you get involved in this thing. The second thing is, Buddhism, one of the pillars of Buddhism is, undertaking the training to not kill. This is a major part of it. And, at the end of the day, it wasn't their war. They have no border with Vietnam, even though there was sort of a secret war going on in Laos and all of that. But, the Sangha Council and the head of the Sangha said, no, this isn't right. We should really. But then, somehow, miraculously, it got to the point where they were blessing the troops and supporting the troops and people going off to war and all this kind of stuff. Which to me, I haven't read or haven't seen anything about any of the monks at the time, standing up and saying, well, we shouldn't be doing these things, and it's further, it goes back, and it was 1967, the forest monks that were there, the students of Ajahn Mun, who had died in 1949, were just getting settled in. The forests were going, and they were having to stop traveling, and the anti-communist stuff and everything else that came in the 70s when they all really finally settled. But like in 1967, Ajahn Chah was already in Ubon, and the Wat was founded. But it was in its very beginning. They weren't known, that much. And also at that time in Thailand, the forest monks were, they were sort of the beggars of the bunch. They didn't have fancy stuff. They weren't, people weren't into meditation. They were into the opulence of Buddhism. And, the monks were making good money even back then in the 60s and 70s. And it's quite interesting. There's items I could pick out that really sound goofy and things like that. But I'm only 100 or so pages into it. But I just wanted to mention the book. The name of it is In Buddha's Company, and it's Thai Soldiers in the Vietnam War by a gentleman named Richard A. Ruth. And if you're interested, here in the States, getting things on Amazon, I watch for when they're on sale or whatever, and that's how I got it. But that's, my first impression. It doesn't, in a sense, reflect well on Thailand. In Thailand, it's not something that's talked about much, but they're quite proud of, and these guys made more than a regular Thai soldier. These were all volunteers. And I think there were only 30,000 of them. As I talk about this book, I'll bring up some of these numbers. But, the first minor item being a lot of the volunteers weren't really volunteers. One company commander, volunteered a soldier of his who was a bit of a drunk, thinking, going into combat would, straighten him out and stuff like that. But, and then, the major thing, is the Thai Sangha Council and Sangha and not only condoning and supporting these things. But anyhow, that's sort of a from my desk look at this book. You all take care. Bye.